So today we discuss analytical orbit computations for high eccentricity orbits. We have been talking for last few lectures on uniformly regular chaos canonical elements, and that was for low eccentricity orbits. We are using the series expansions. So this one we will be talking for high eccentricity orbit because these orbits are also useful. So we have developed a theory for this high eccentricity orbit. Earlier we had talked about in terms of case elements, and this is for the high eccentricity. And then I will talk next in this future low Earth environment. So these two papers I will present to you today. So this is the work I present today: decay of high eccentricity satellite orbits with air drag using uniformly regular chaos canonical elements by Anita and myself. Dr. Anita was teacher of my daughter Ruchi, and she, through my daughter only, she told that she want to do PhD with me, and then I said, okay, she can start. So she registered in Mahatma Gandhi University, and I think for her, Dr. Halan was he has Dr. Bhatnagar was also examiner, and Dr. Halan has, I think, conducted the Viva for her. So, because Dr. Bhatnagar was not well that time, he was to conduct actually, but since he was not well, so then Dr. Halan was called. So Mahatma Gandhi University is in Kottayam. So there he had to go, and then Viva was conducted there. So here we develop a non-singular. The advantage of all these things is they are all non-singular theories, and we again use another parameter instead of eccentric anomaly. We use another parameter, and it was also because she was to do PhD, so systematically we carried out with a spherical atmosphere and oblate and like that, and then finally we had gone to oblate, and then density scale height variation also included in this. So this was the last chapter of her thesis. Here, fourth order expansions, up to that we carried out the computations. And here, as I told you earlier, for high eccentricity orbit, we don't have to take day to night density variations. The reason being, the day to night density variations are only useful when the orbit is near circular. When sometime the apogee sees more drag than the perigee, but in high eccentricity orbit that will not happen, because during the high where it near the apogee area, the density sometime may be almost zero. If normally when these eccentric orbits are of the order of 200 kilometer perigee and apogee is at least 20,000 kilometer, or even between 10 to 30,000 or even 36,000, and all our G2 orbits which go somewhere, because what we in ISRO we carry out, the perigee is around 170 kilometer and apogee is around 36,000 kilometer. That is, the altitude from the Earth is around 36,000 kilometer. So even then, such orbits are not only dependent; their decay does not depend yet only on the drag and air drag and Earth's oblateness or Earth's flattening or Earth's, but sun and moon also play a very important role, and sometimes radiation pressure also plays a role depending upon the shape of the satellite. But for getting some feel what kind of decay the drag will give. So such theories are useful. So this was the last, as I told you, this was the last chapter, and you see, I did not see any citation for this because this was the last. Afterwards, we have not used it. Nobody has used this work, so unless somebody uses, then only the citations will come. So this is still not, but it has got a lot of potential because we'll show you the accuracy over the my earlier work on eccentric orbits, whatever we have done on the eccentric orbits decay with drag, there is a improvement with this. With that aim only we started this work, because when we saw that canonical variables are doing good in all accurate calculations than over the other theories for circular or near circular orbits, then we thought it should do it for elliptic also. So again, we have, as in the earlier time, for KS variables, we have used another variable lambda. The lambda is used, and C is a parameter which depends upon the flattening of the atmosphere. That is the same parameter which we have been using. So the equations of motion, when we take only the V perturbation due to V in V only, V that means only oblateness kind of perturbations. When we take, we have this equation, and when we add the perturbations due to the drag kind of forces, then these are added like this. This we have already done earlier. That's the same thing we were to follow. So we have followed the same thing, but then finally we have to make a change. It was also not very simple when we were converting that to the high eccentric orbit, but well, with some efforts you can always do it. It takes some time, but when we can do it. So then this independent variable S was converted to the independent variable E. We know the connection between them, and when we have got this, we have done earlier also for low eccentricity orbits also. So this equation was anyway available to us, and then we use this transformation. This also we had idea, because earlier we had utilized this successfully in our earlier studies with KS variables. So we had used the same similar fashion we worked out on this. And velocity, now this time our idea was to do more accurate calculations. We wanted to expand everything up to 4th degree in this parameter, whatever parameters we were taking. So we expanded this one also. So we expanded in terms of a parameter, capital delta, and where delta is in somewhere, it is the definition will be there. It should be somewhere there, or maybe it may come. When it comes, we can see that. So now this also, earlier we were doing it in terms of eccentricity, but now eccentricity we have to keep in closed term, because we are doing for high eccentricity orbits, and when we do for high eccentricity orbit, we have to preserve the all eccentricity expressions. So yeah, a new independent variable lambda, and this is lambda square. This lambda, or it looks like delta, is the lambda square, this small lambda square. So we have done these expansions we have carried out. You can see now here explicitly I have written in terms of lambda by S. S is given by this. Z is defined as earlier it was defined, beta A. So beta is nothing but 1 by H. That is the density scale height. So in terms of these parameters, now these expressions we need to. So this is the change in this energy, and this is change in the state variables. So all your 8 variables are, as I have been telling you, that the advantage here is that we are handling only one equation. Our efforts go in one equation, but then Because of the symmetry, we all other 8 are programmed in the computer helps us to compute all 8 equations. You need to compute all 8, but our human efforts are only for 1. Because when we use Lagrangian planetary equations, you have to do more than 2, and 3, sometimes 4, and some general case 6 also you have to use. So these are all the parameter, the coefficients which are appearing here in this side, and these ones you can see here. So I have put it here in this. I put it all these things in over here, and then the other W, they will come in other expansions. This also I put it over here. This is for appendix 2 also I put over here. So these are all using maxima. They are all computed. Otherwise, humanly, it's not easy to compute them. They become quite complicated. So we have all. So analytical integration is the as we were doing for the case variables in the similar fashion. We carried out the analytical integration, and the limits are coming from 0 to you can see this square root to h z, and z is greater than 6 for e greater than 2, because for we are taking eccentricity greater than 2. In fact, we take much more than that, but okay, at least greater than 2 we take. So this limit is square root 2z in the 19 and 20 may be replaced by infinity. So that is how 0 to they are destroyed. Because if this is not there, then you have a problems. Because of this thing, and errors are less than 10 to the minus 30. This is already was documented in Kingelly's book, and earlier people have used it. So we had no difficulty in making them integrals in this form. And these integrals come in G integrals, and then you can, and they have a recurrence formula. So all these are, see, they become so simple. So integral of this in terms of, you can write like this, lambda to raised to n exponential minus lambda squared. And these only are appearing inside in that integrals. And once we identify these ones, then the whole thing becomes simpler. So after each end of each revolutions, we compute the changes in the energy and change in this state variables, and then we add them to the previous one, and then we obtain the new ones. And you can convert them again. You can convert them exactly because they have a relation between these alphas and this with the x, y, z, your physical coordinates, position, velocity. They have a connection, or the orbital elements. You have the connection, so you can go back there. So numerical results. So theory was ready, and then we have checked the results, whether how good are our theories. So this is how we will show you the results. Now this table 1, we can have the table 1 shows decrease in semi-major axis in kilometer and percentage error after 100 revolutions. So we calculated after 100 revolutions. For an initial perigee, we kept 180 kilometer, and inclination 85 degrees, because as we have seen earlier, 85 degree, the effects are, the C parameter is high. So that's why we thought so. So that if more, and this also we had already discussed, that this parameter mu, we were calling there mu, here we called it mu bar, because mu, somewhere else we were to use the gravitational constant. So mu bar 0.2, and mu bar 0.2 is extreme for density scale height. Normally it is about 0.1 in the plus minus somewhere near to 0.1, but 0.2 is the extreme. You can't go more than that. So we use the extreme value so that we can check it in the most difficult conditions. And these are the numerical values after 100 for the different eccentricity. So even for actually our aim is to check somewhere here 0.5 to 0.8. But even and you can see there also the theory works. The error, when you see the error, percentage error, you can see the errors are also decreasing when we are going as the eccentricity is increasing, 0.2 to 0.3 like that. You can see here 0.31 to 0.07 and like that. So that shows that this uniformly regular chaos canonical elements, even then they look complicated, but the whatever we get the theories, they give very good results. And this is with case. And you can see here because there is a crossing there, so somewhere they will be, but the you can see there these are certainly better than overall when you do the estimation. These give better estimates. Here also you can see there the this is exact decay in after 100 revolution of 122 kilometer 2.291. So this is two only 5 meter difference only is coming here. In case it has come more than that. So with these things you can check, you can know this uniformly regular case canonical elements. So this work has given her the doctorate because it says systematically she did so that all the complete thesis can be carried out with the spherical atmosphere, oblate, and then scale height, and then like that. So that, but this was the last where the scale height as well as oblateness of the atmosphere is taken into consideration, and it has gone up to fourth this power in expansions. So you can say fourth degree, fourth order theory, you can say. So this uniformly regular canonical elements still they are not used much, and even when we were doing, we have done that lunisolar also, what Dr. Harish has done in case variables. What I wrote this project for DST, and we completed that. And in the process, he had obtained his doctorate and carried out an outstanding work. And we used case variables, but supposing we use the uniformly regular case canonical element, maybe some more improvement will come over the results which we have obtained with case variables in linear for the effect of sun and the moon or the radiation pressure. So these are all having, and if somebody starts working, we have done separately oblateness, and we have done very limited oblateness, we can say. We did only a short term, you can say. But if somebody takes that problem little more at depth and does a more detailed carried work there, one can carry out a lot of work there. And then if somebody takes oblateness and say J2 and this drag, either with KS or with this uniformly regular KS, with a separates they are available. Certainly, in my opinion, the work will still these are all in infancy, you can say. So these variables will give future. A lot of work should come with this uniformly regular case canonical variables and case as well, and uniformly regular, because the Hamiltonian, through Hamiltonian, when we come out, especially because here the Hamiltonian, the fundamentally on the two-body problem, when Hamiltonian is used, and you get the Hamiltonian equal to 0 for unperturbed, that means all the variables are constant. That has a wonderful property, and that because of that only the accuracies are coming more. And this theory, these variables are useful for the parabolic and hyperbolic orbits as well. So I foresee that a lot of work should go in future. People will do work, there is no doubt. Because as I did this oblateness thing in 75, or my thesis, I started in 70, and then Finally, with the revision 76, I submitted January 76. But now later on, lot of work carried out with oblateness, even if it is triangular, both primaries or all those. But the the idea was delivered there, and that was utilized by n number of people in India as well as abroad also. A lot of people from outside also carried out that work. So similarly, I feel this also pick up. This work also will pick up. Now, same thing in the eccentricity also. You can see here, uniformly regular case canonical are giving better results. When you see here percentage itself, you can see. Here it has not given, because this one we do not that much worry, because the theory has been designed for the high eccentricity orbit. So we have to take seriously these results after 0.5, or these are the results where we get, because other theory can work better, low eccentricity for even up to 0.3, 0.4. So this is the one, but we wanted to check how good it does for even for 0.2, and that is also not bad. See, when you get results, especially you do not get much error there as well. But the main concern for us was not this area. The area was from 0.5 to 0.8. And all GTO orbits, the practical use are around 0.73. So this area, see, the error is so less over here. Here also less. So decrease in semi-major axis, we have taken the perigee altitude of 200 kilometer, inclination of 80 degree, and here we have taken average value of mu1, 0.1 instead of 0.2 after 100 revolution with fourth order and third order. If you take third order results and fourth order, you do not take fourth order terms into consideration. So what is the accuracy you get? That you can see. These numbers are more accurate than this. Same theory is being compared. So you can see here. This is exact number. We call this to be numerical. We have done with a lot of care. So this is more or less correct, except when somebody uses very sophisticated numerical, there might come little bit difference somewhere in. But we don't expect that. But here, you see here, this has taken up to 69 and this is 57. So 869 and this is 857. Now this is decay after 100 revolution. So many kilometers that the satellite orbit has decayed. And this is 118.974 and 69. So only 5 meter difference over here. Here only 4 meter difference. And here also not much difference. See, the change is there. This is higher side. So that when we are doing these expansions, that can happen. So it's not very strange. So here also these both are it's okay, but this is certainly this is also third order is also not that bad, but fourth order has some advantage over the third order, because then only there is a utility. Now supposing you expand everything to fifth order, what may be there might come very little difference. See, there may come 69 might become 70 also, but the things will not be that much changing. This is eccentricity. This also, because this is 10 to the into 10 to the power of 4. Eccentricity into 10 to the power of 4. That's why these numbers are looking bigger. Otherwise, with so many zeros you have to put. So they are almost both. We have seen semi-major X and eccentricity. They show a similar kind of character. And now figure-wise we have shown you. The figure-wise you can see there. As you are going, higher eccentricity, this is the eccentricity increase, and this whole thing is difference between analytical for after 100 revolutions, and inclination is taken 85 and mu bar is taken 0.1, and this so you can see here, this is uniformly regular case canonical. This is not that much errors are coming even from here to here. and we have not designed for this, but here also not so bad. But certainly from 0.4 to further, it is going. But this has got more errors in the lower regime of eccentricity, and again it is going away. But in some areas, this is quite. For example, here both are giving same around this. This looks interesting that when they cut, they cut at the same point. There must be something must be involved there after 100 revolutions. That means after 100 revolutions, at this eccentricity, for this eccentricity, the errors are not to be seen. Anyway, that only by figure only we see, but when we see revolution by revolution, whether it is coming, may not be that that inclination, things may not be happening. The errors may not be generating. Similarly, at the same, that point comes almost same place. Here it is difficult to identify. So you can see here the it is less sensitive to eccentricity. This is more sensitive to eccentricity. But as I told you, that we have not designed. These are all to check what happens when even for low eccentricity. Now this is KS and uniformly regular KS. Difference between analytical and numerical computed values of semi-major axis in meters. This is in meters. After 1000 revolutions, or the orbit with perigee altitude of 175 kilometer, eccentricity 0.75, and inclination. This is 30 degrees, 0. It will be 0. I tried to do, but it did not come. Maybe it was that correction I made, but somehow there. So this is 30 degrees and mu bar is 0.2. So this is extreme. The 30 is average, because we could have taken even 85 degrees, but we have taken 30. So you can see here the errors here with the revolution is increasing. The errors are this is almost linear. This is also up to some level linear, and then it goes slight non-linearity is there, because if you join this to this is not a straight line. But here this to this is more or less looking like a straight line. There is a very little this thing band. So what it says is that uniformly regular case canonical elements, they are not very sensitive to even long-term duration, because 1000 revolutions, and the period of these eccentric orbits is high. Supposing 0.75 I have taken, so its period may be somewhere around 10 hours or 11 hours. So 1000, so in two revolutions or 2.25 revolution, 1 day will come. So we have done for so long calculations, but errors are not generated much. So the error is only of this order, maybe of somewhere around little less than 400 meters, where here it has gone to kilometer in terms of kilometer. And this is same thing is shown for eccentricity. So eccentricity in physical terms is very difficult to say, but well, the character is similar. Now you see here again they cut at this place at this inclination. It looks, I mean, to me looks very interesting. So at this inclination, with this eccentricity 0.65 and this mu bar, there is no error. With after 1000 revolutions, this is all after 1000 revolutions. So this is, and both the theories are showing that this is coming, from this side, and then this is going there, but this is around 0, because 0 means no error. So it's going, and this is going this way. So difference between analytical numerical computed values of semi-major axis meter after 1000 revolutions for the orbit with 200 kilometer. Perigee altitude is 200 and eccentricity. This 200 by this, its apogee will be somewhere around of the order of 25,000 kilometer. Of that order it may be. because 7.3 goes to around 36,000 kilometers. So this is over that. This is these errors are not much there. So and this anyway, just for interest, I'm telling you they cut at, and this is cutting at 55-degree inclination. This is coming and this is coming here. See, this could have come even from here also. Anywhere it could have come, but it is coming over here. So that is interesting. And here that is at a different, the same orbit, but it is also coming, but the inclination is different. It is coming at different inclination, eccentricity, not at 50. I would have been more happy if it was coming at 55, but it is not coming. See, the other one is 55. This is not coming at 55, but this is also coming. They are cutting at crossing each other. Zero. This is zero. Zero. There's some other angle that is coming. So that is the. This is now difference between analytical and numerical computed value of semi-major axis after 1000 revolution when perigee height varies. Now here we have varied the perigee height, because as perigee height increases, the decay will be less, drag will be less. At 190 it will be more. That's why you see errors are also more. Drag will be more, that errors will be also. So it will be more over here. So here the analytical and numerical. But this theory has shown, you see, afterward this theory is almost no error it is showing, almost negligible error. Over this figure, we don't see much, error over here. This is, each one is 50 meters. So even if it may be there, 1 or 2 meters only may be there in this. So this is so accurate as with altitude. Similarly is the eccentricity. So conclusion is that a non-singular analytical theory up to 4th order in terms of delta, a small parameter c dependent on flattening of the atmosphere for the motion of the high eccentricity orbits, air drag is developed in terms of the uniformly regular Ks canonical elements. So these Ks canonical elements, I think we have to try these Ks canonical elements for restricted three-body problem. Some problem should be discussed here and then see what may be the outcome there. The atmosphere is assumed to be oblate with variation of density scale height with altitude. So there you see, I hope if at least one or some people are motivated with this Ks and Ks canonical variables and try to use, if we try to use them to restricted three-body problem or elliptic restricted three-body problem or any other problem which you are doing, probably some very interesting results may appear. That is how I have been doing research all through, with some guesswork only that this might give this, and finally it has given also many times. So this is the theory which we developed, and it has yielded a doctorate to Dr. Anita, and these are the references. This was original when he started, King Ali started contraction of satellite orbit under the influence of drag, high eccentricity orbits. So here he took the spherical atmosphere. So oblate atmosphere, he has, his idea was that probably it will not affect much. It will not affect much, the oblateness may not affect high eccentricity orbits. So he did not take up much, some things he did, but not the complete things everywhere. And that in my earlier lectures, I had told you that oblateness gave, spherical atmosphere gave a conservative estimate. Conservative means supposing decay is 30 kilometer. Oblateness may not give 30 kilometer, it may give 25 kilometer. So, but the difference was there. Around 9% difference we had seen there. That I presented in a conference in COSPAR conference in Japan in 1998, I think. I presented there. So the oblateness, and then we understood that oblateness, but day to night density variations will not play a role here. As I told you, hence they can play a role only. That lesson I had learned long back, even when RS1 orbital decay was done, because our oblate atmosphere was doing very good matching with the with the exact or with the actual orbit of the RS1 up to 250 days. Afterwards, it did not start matching. And that was the reason where the day-to-night density started playing more important role. And so that lesson I had learned at that time, and that helped me also over the years to come out numerically as well as the analytical studies. Now we will take up a study which we did for international. This study, myself and Dr. Xavier James Raj, we are 4 people from ISRO in this study. Anil Kumar was our representative later, because I had retired in 2000. This was the conference was, I think, later, but work was started earlier when I was there. We developed the software, and so 4 of our people are there here. Anil Kumar is there, Xavier James Raj is there, Rao is there, and I am there. So this stability of the future LEO environment, an IDAC comparison study we had carried out, and here we utilized what research myself and Dr. Xavier James as we did. We had used that last time the paper which I presented. That was a perfect theory for you doing for this, because we had done 4th order and we have used the day to night density variations, because it is for low Earth orbits. LEO means low Earth orbits. Low Earth orbits means their eccentricities will not be very high. So, and then we have taken the density scalite variations and things like that, and we have developed that in uniformly regular case canonical elements. And we had to find the orbits for 200 days, 200 years, not days, 200 years. 200 years. In 200 years, we have to say how our future atmosphere will be. I mean the space objects, how they will look, how much they will increase by that time. So let me just tell you, I will just go through this. The recent modeling studies of the orbital debris population in the low Earth orbit have suggested that the current environment has already reached the level of instability. Mitigation measures commonly adopted by the international space community, including those of the Interagency Space Coordination Committee. This is a Interagency Space Coordination Committee, IADC, and the United Nations, may be insufficient to stop the future population growth. In response to this new finding, an official IADC modeling study was conducted to assess the stability of the current low Earth orbit debris population. Results from 6 different models were consistent, even with a 90% compliance of the commonly adopted mitigation measures and no future explosion. The simulated low Earth orbit debris population increased by an average of approximately 30% in the next 200 years. Catastrophic collisions are expected to occur every 5 to 9 years. Remediation measures such as active debris removal should be considered to stabilize the future LEO environment. For this, he was from Dr. Leo. He is from NASA. He was the leader for this. He took the initiative, and everybody was sending the results. We used to send the results to him, and then in the meeting, IADC meeting, he will present, and then it will be discussed. Like that, it continued. This study, and then finally he presented this one in the conference here. Proceedings of 6th European Space Conference on Space Debris in August 2013. And you can see how quickly it is being cited, because people who are working on space debris, a lot of people work. As I told you, a lot of people who work in orbital dynamics, celestial mechanics, and other areas, they can learn this subject easily. So because finally they have to use the orbits. So this has already been cited 64 times. So I have not. I'm going. Going to discuss the entire paper of this, but you see the people, the agencies who were involved in this modeling. The objective of this was to assess the stability of the low Earth debris population and reach a consensus on the need to use active debris removal (ARD) to stabilize the future environment. Participants include ASI's Italy. This is ESA, is space European Space Agency. This is ISRO, is Indian, and this is Japan, JAXA, and this is NASA, and this is UK. So these teams from these countries, I mean, these agencies, they took part in this study. So the study was coordinated and led by NASA. That I told you, Dr. Leo, he was very excellent person, very nice person. And they had come to India also. We had in ISRO, we had conducted this meeting, IADC meeting in 2010, and then all these people came over here. And we had in Technopark, because the meeting took place in Technopark, because so many foreigners getting entry in our department inside the space center was a problem. So Technopark was used for conducting this conference meeting. It was 3 days meeting. So this was a very interesting study which we had carried out, and the study scenario required models to perform future projections of the 10 centimeter and larger low Earth. See, all the 10 centimeter and larger, they are all at that time, I am telling, even less than 10 centimeter also are being tracked, but they are all officially, they are tracked, and their orbits are known, all the objects. Larger Leo crossing population for 200 years past, and one we have to do this study for next 200 years, but as past the 1st May 2009 reference epoch. So what is there on this 1st May 2009? That is the reference epoch. That is at that time where those nearly 17,000, some number will be there, our objects were there. So we had to do a study with respect to so many objects. Launch traffic was added to the projection, adding to the repeated 2001 to 2009 traffic cycle with the 8-year operational lifetime assumed for payloads. So the payloads, which are there, the satellites, active satellites, for them the life was assumed to be 8 years. After 8 years, they are debris. So they are moving under the gravitational field. Now also they are there, but now when they are actively, their life is there, they can be corrected, their orbits can be corrected. But once their life is over, I mean, their payloads are, I mean, you don't have a propellant there, then the orbits, they become natural satellite debris. At the end of 8-year period, 90% of payloads were placed into decay orbits with a nominal remaining life of 25 years. So these are all the things which were carried out during this study, where it was determined that a transfer to a graveyard orbit above Leo was cost-effective. Objects were removed from the simulation immediately. Rocket bodies launched after 1st May 2009 were also transferred immediately to 25-year decay orbits. So because that orbit may be something for when the rocket is, especially when they are launched, then they are transferred to an orbit whose life will be 25 years. That is the meaning. The same success rate. Future explosions were not allowed based on the assumption of good implementation of passivation measures, and collision avoidance maneuvers were not permitted. See, we can two bodies when they are nearby, the space, station is there, and when any body comes nearby, it can be avoided. The collision can be avoided by changing path slightly. So that is also, these are all the conditions on which the study was carried out. So the initial population and model description. The initial population used for the study was provided by ESA, European Space Agency, and was generated using the Master 2009. This is their model. They have developed a model, Master 2009 model. The population included all 10 centimeter and larger low Earth orbit crossing objects on 1st May 2009. Although high area to mass ratio, that is there where the area is more, but area by mass, that is high, multi-layer insulation fragments were excluded. They were excluded. LEO crossing objects are those with perigee altitudes below 2000 kilometers. So this is the definition. Low Earth orbit crossing objects are those where the perigee altitude is below 2000 kilometers. Each object was listed individually and was categorized as either a rocket body or payload or mission related debris or fragmentation debris. Launch dates for all rocket bodies, payloads and mission related debris launched between 1st May and 30th April 2009 were also provided by ESA, enabling an 8-year traffic cycle to be generated and repeated for the future projection. Figure 1 shows the spatial density. Spatial means space density distribution as a function of altitude. The fragmentations, the fragments produced by the Penguin 1C fragmentation in January 2007, and see, this is when the Chinese, they did an experiment. Their own satellite, which was of course not a active satellite, so they killed it from the ground. So this is anti-satellite at the altitude of around 800 kilometers. So to test their capabilities. India also did, but we did at a lower altitude, so that the debris do not go more. But for them, the debris was quite a lot. They generated too many debris at that altitude, and the whole world criticized them. So January 2007, and the Iridium. This is a natural hit, and this was the active satellite, Iridium 33, which was a communication satellite, and this was a debris, and this happened collision in February 2009. Have contributed to the peak in spatial density between 700 kilometer and 1000 kilometers. You can see here, that this around this the peaks are over there. So this is the density, spatial density of the initial population as a function of altitude. This is the altitude, and this is the spatial density number in kilometer cube. 1 kilometer cube, how many numbers are there? These are the density over there. So this is the figure. Now ISRO model KSC prop. This we had developed. That's why the KSC is canonical variables, whatever I have been talking. ISRO's long-term debris environment projection model is named KSC prop. Orbit computation in KSC prop can be carried out for 200 years, revolution by revolution. See, because this is analytical, so it doesn't take much time. So after every revolution, we were updating our parameters using the non-singular fourth order analytical theory of the motion of nearer satellite orbits. So this is what last time I presented, fourth order theory, where we have taken diurnal bulge and we have taken density scale height variation. So we have taken all that thing. So that thing was only used. Air drag effects are generated in terms of uniformly regular Kustanima and Stiefel canonical elements. A diurnally varying oblate atmosphere is considered with constant density scale height. We did not put where the other. So we use here 3 by H theory, because when we use a constant density scale height, we need not put, because this to reduce our computation, because load was too much. So this gives an additional load, so that we had avoided. Because every end of each revolution when we do, so this also we density scale height, otherwise also we have to calculate. So we, instead of calculating at perigee, we calculated 3 by 4 H above the perigee. So we use this one. The theory is valid for orbits with eccentricity less than 0.2. So we have just written this for less than 0.2, but it was working even more for more. Monthly average values of the, see that solar index values we had generated, also provided for 200 years. So by some models, we had generated them, and some were given by them, and some were we were searched, and then they were utilized. Because the solar cycle, has a 11-year period. 11-year, but that 11-year is an average value. Sometimes it can change also. So, or utilize the secular effects of earth oblateness. So what is important was to be added there was the secular effects of oblateness is required of J2 in argument of perigee, right ascension of ascending node, and long-term perturbations due to J2, J3, J4 in eccentricity are added. So we added at the end of each revolution, we have added this small omega, capital omega, change in one revolution, and then the effect on inclination. On eccentricity. So these are the ones. Then it becomes quite near to the actual orbit decay. And Jackia 77 atmospheric density model. This model was very good when we were carrying out these studies. So this model also is utilized to compute the values of the density scale height, density and density scale height at perigee after every revolution. See, the computation was high, 200 revolutions, 200 days we have to do, 200 days. 200 days, you multiply, different type of and 17,000 objects are there, each object for 200. This many results, it is written here. Conjunction assessment are carried out by incorporating the apogee perigee filter. Then we have to see every two satellites, whether they are coming nearby. So their orbits are, we are calculating for 200 years, and we are checking also whether during that period, whether any combination of those two satellites are coming nearby. So apogee perigee filter, geometric filter, time filter, these filters were also, we defined there inside our program. Based on Hoots et al., the collisions between any two objects are simulated. So these are all, we assume the NASA standard breakup model is used to find out the orbital characteristics of collision fragments. If some collision take place, then we have to use this model. How many more objects have become from those two? And results of this many objects were there at that time beginning. 17,074 objects for 200 years were analyzed. So this is a very, very big calculation. Monte Carlo simulations were carried out by considering various parameter perturbations and also collision probability variations. The parameter considered in MC ballistic coefficient F10.7 and AP with 3 sigma dispersions of 10%, assuming Gaussian distribution. Other important parameters considered in Monte Carlo simulations are uncertainties in distribution parameters in breakup model, variation in size, mass, delta V of fragments. And we did 40 Monte Carlo simulations because it takes a lot of computing time using ISRO parallel computing facility available in Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. Even 40 itself, it took a lot of computer. The output monitored and analyzed through MC simulations are number of objects, decade at the end of each year, and the orbital parameters of the objects. So this we were monitoring. And now you can see the 6 agencies who are there. You can the solar flux projection model. So this is the solar flux. You know what goes as input. The solar flux projection used by participating agencies for the period from 210 to 2060. So that 50 years are shown in figure 2. This figure. There is reasonable correlation between the magnitude and phase. See, these are mostly, you can see 6. This is ISRO, this color. This color, this you can see this one. This is so these are the agencies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 also will be there somewhere. So this is the this that means the model which people have used, they are reasonably okay. There is not a major difference between the models. And then study results. The I have in this I have only shown you. I mean, because there was no use for us to see the other models. So and I also know only my model, what we had done, what we were doing. So I am telling you only the model what we have done. And this, since this has got the, I have already presented these theories here last time. So I thought this is the time when I can present this paper also, so that you can. Even last time I could have done it, but there was no time because already time was over. The study results are presented below. The number of MC simulation employed, Monte Carlo simulation, by each model to generate these results is shown in table 1. The total MC simulation of 6 model is 725. We have used the minimum of the thing. Some people have used, JAXA Japan has used 60 in Monte Carlo simulations, and maximum is used by the Italy ASI. So it depends upon their model also, what model they are using. So ours was orbit computation by revolution by revolution. So for us, the whole dynamics we were carrying through, and then checking it. So the time taken by us was certainly more. So this is how these are there by different agencies. The projection of the total LEO population through the year 2209, that means after 200 years, assuming no future explosion and a 90% compliance of the commonly adopted mitigation measures from the 6 models, are summarized in this figure. And this figure also you can see the results are not that much varying. It's okay, they almost all same are the people are showing. These 4 models are showing in the similar fashion. These are slightly lower. So these are the ours is this ISRO. I think ours is on the lower side. This one, this may be the ours one. Ours and pink one. This and this are matching. ESA and ISRO. I think we are matching to each other. Others are slightly on the higher side. So this is the effective number of objects in LEO. So others are showing little higher. In all cases, the model predict a population growth. The average increase is 30% in 200 years. The short-term fluctuation occurs on a time scale of approximately 11 years is due to solar flux cycle. That flux, that change, this is because of 11-year solar cycle. Whatever that these things are shown. So effective number of objects. So this is the thing, and then population projections by individual models, including population breakdown and the 1 sigma standard deviation for the total, follow very similar trends. One example is this is one example. ASI example is given by this is the Italian study, and So this is a new fragment, and this green is old fragments, and this is intact. These are intact. So this is total, including 1 sigma. This is a total thing going on. So one of the thing here is taken as a to show, because he has presented this thing, there on behalf of all the participating countries. Maybe my colleague or Dr. Ali Kumar might have also gone there. And some more people, I don't know who have gone there, but the this is the figure 5 shows the cumulative number of catastrophic collision occurring within 200 years. So different agencies have shown different. So we have shown less collisions. This is our thing. That means in 200 years, how many collision would have taken place? So our collision number, but still, the trend is the similar fashion. Figure 5 shows the cumulative. See, nobody knows how many collision will take place, but this is all the projection. Number of catastrophic collision occurring within the 200-year projection period. Catastrophic collisions such as the one between that Iridium 33 and Cosmo. This is naturally, it has happened. Since nobody has done it, it has happened in space. 2009. Result in the complete fragmentation of the objects involved in and generate a significant amount of debris. They are the main driver for future population increases. The steepest curve, UKSA, represents a catastrophic collision. That is steepest is for UK, this one. For UK, this one. UK represents a catastrophic collision frequency of 1 event every 5 years, because they have shown more. 1 every 5 years. Whereas this slowest curve, ISRO, represents a frequency of 1 event in 9 years. So we have said around 1 in 9 years it will happen, it can happen, but UK said 1 in 5 years. All model predictions for catastrophic collision show a good fit with a straight line. So they are all in a straight line. Ours is little, this one, that is the model, because we are doing our way of doing maybe a different, that might be showing that curve thing. Line for the next 200 years, average correlation coefficient 0.99. Catastrophic collisions occur primarily at altitude of 700 and between 800, because there are only more number of objects are there, and in this kilometer. The population increase at the end of 200-year projection, the year 2209, predicted by the 6 models are shown in figure this. Figure 6, the initial environment year 2009 is also included for comparison. The number of objects at any altitude at a given point in time is a balance between source and sink. The former includes new launches, fragments, what are the sources, and then what are the sinks by which it decreases. Sources are those from which it is increasing, and sinks are those by which it is decreasing. And fragments like drag is their sink, because by atmospheric drag, when they are nearby, they will come down and they will burn from a higher altitude. Due to the atmospheric drag, while the later include objects decayed towards lower altitude due to atmospheric drag overall. There is a general population increase above 800 kilometers. 800 kilometers, they won't come down. So once they are there, their lives are very, very, very high. So this is how that increase, at 800, 600, 800. So you can see that increase over here. So our model is somewhere here. It is showing somewhere. We are somewhere in the average area. These are there, and so we are this here. This summary of the projected LEO low Earth orbit population increase based on regular launches and a 90% compliance of the commonly adopted mitigation measures. So this is there. Agencies are there, and these are their models names are there, and this is their MC simulations, and percentage of MC simulation run with N2209 greater than N0009. This is 242 by 275, like that. These things are coming over here. And average change in population. So average change in population, we have said the minimum, but he says average is around 30%, because the more people have said 33, 33, 33, 36, 29. So we have shown, and this ESA has said 22. So we are close with this in terms of the population. Table 2 provides additional details of the model prediction of the 725 MC simulation. 633. ESA actually handles these studies, because the headquarter is there, and then the people who do at ESA, they are doing very excellent. So they have a lot of activity over the space debris. The overall MC average is 30% increase in 200 years. That is what it means. So this is all summary, whatever I told you. This in this fashion it has been told. These are all the references. Our reference is there here. Xavier and Sharma. Prediction of satellite orbit contraction due to diurnally varying atmospheric with altitude dependent on height using K-scale. So we made that thing as constant scale height. So this was last time I presented this one. This is what we used. So the 26. So he nicely presented. He is a very learned person. Leo, his papers are more here. Leo's paper. Gets over.